And what's the biggest thing you've learned from the show on the in the History Channel? Like, learning about all these former strongmen. Like, what have you seen and learned about the history of these guys?
I've learned so much. It's almost hard to whittle it down. I've grown so much more respect for these characters because like all of these men except for Peter Francisco, almost all of them died penniless. Donald Denny, the guy who created those stones we did in Scotland, the Denny stones.
Yeah.
He won multiple world championships in Highland Games. He's got records and records. They showed us all these trophies and medals and everything. And like, oh, by the way, he died in debt. And it's like all these men, they did it for the pure love of strength, for the pure love of the sport. These men, they weren't out there. They're not making like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible checks. They're not making all this big money. They were about the actual growth and knowledge and strength. So, I learned a lot about that. It was humbling, to realize like, how far we've come. We did an American, Paul Anderson, who was an Olympic lifter, and he actually lifted at a time where lifting was looked down upon. Football players, hockey players, none of them would work out because it would make you bulky and it's not good for you, and nobody lifted weights. So he actually would create his own weights in his little garage, and he'd sit in there and do all this stuff himself. Then he flies over to Russia to do the Olympics in Gorky Park in the rain. Thousands of Russians there. It was times weren't. I can't remember exactly the date, but we were having issues between America and Russia. He goes over there and he goes out to do his lift, and the park goes dead silent. Nobody's like, you could hear somebody cough. Goes out there. He does this lift, presses it up, puts it back down, and then immediately eruption of Russian applause for this American who had just broken a world record. And it also that teaches you, it's strength is universal. It's a language that we all speak. It's something that we're all connected to, just like fighting's universal and all these other things. Everyone in the world knows how strong they are. They know how strong they want to be. They know what strength is. They know what if this person is strong, that they'd be doing this, or there's just a universal language of strength, and along with the respect for these characters and stuff, like Peter Francisco, he was shot twice on the battlefield, and then continued to fight. Wouldn't leave the fight. There's stories of him after being shot pulling people off their horses to keep them from hurting his friends and stuff like that. And all these characters. Thomas Topham would just do so much for the people. Thomas Topham was a rowdy character, very rowdy character, and he would do a lot of pranks and things like that, but he was also a sweet man. He would give meat and stuff to the kids, and he would take care of people in a time where it was hard to get around. It wasn't like everyone was in excess, and he was still giving things away.